Have you ever tried to pick a restaurant with, like, 6 of your friends? You know the drill, right?
Oh yeah, the group chat nightmare.
Exactly. One person's vegan, another hates spicy food.
Yeah.
Someone else says the parking is bad at the Italian place. You go back and forth for, I don't know, 40 minutes.
And you always end up with the least worst option.
The lukewarm pizza that nobody really wanted, it was the only thing nobody said no to.
Right.
And for dinner, that's fine. It's just annoying. But imagine that exact dynamic, but instead of choosing toppings, you're a government trying to figure out safety rules for AI.
Or synthetic biology.
Yes. And the technology is evolving every 40 hours, not every 40 minutes. We have this deep-seated belief that we can't move forward until everyone agrees. We treat disagreement like it's a failure.
It's the consensus trap.
Yeah.
We've conflated legitimacy, the right to make a decision, with unanimity, which is everyone agreeing with that decision.
And that's what we're looking at today. This focus from the Connected Ideas Project on the science of responsible innovation. The idea that this confusion, it's actually dangerous.
It is. I know dangerous sounds like a strong word for just trying to get along.
Yeah, consensus usually feels like the goal,
Yeah.
the democratic ideal.
But in an era of exponential tech, waiting for everyone to hold hands isn't just difficult. It's a recipe for paralysis. And when you're dealing with AI alignment or bioengineering, doing nothing can be just as risky as moving too fast.
So today's deep dive is all about this idea, legitimacy without consensus.
And the mission here really is to decouple those two ideas. We need to figure out how we can make valid, responsible decisions about these powerful technologies, even when, and I would say especially when reasonable people completely disagree.
Okay, so if you're a listener who hates conflict, maybe buckle up. We're going to look at why our whole history of agreement is actually a myth.
And how demanding consensus can be a hidden weapon to maintain the status quo.
And then, the 4 pillars that let us govern effectively, even while we're all still arguing.
It's about building a system that can handle the heat, instead of just trying to turn down the thermostat.
So let's start with that heat. Because I think when I look back at history, and maybe this is just me being nostalgic, I imagine the big breakthroughs happened because everyone got on board.
Like a big group hug for electricity.
Exactly. Yes, the internet. What a great idea. Let's all build it together.
And that's the illusion, Consensus feels comforting. It gives us this warm, fuzzy feeling of moral clarity. If we all agree, it must be the right thing to do.
And it doesn't feel like it's being forced on anyone.
Right. It feels democratic. But that's a total distortion of history. I mean, if you look at the major consequential leaps, industrialization, nuclear power, consensus was nowhere to be found.
So industrialization wasn't a handshake deal.
Not at all. It was massive social conflict. Riots, Luddites smashing looms because their entire way of life was ending. Nuclear power created, and still has, huge divisions. These things happened amidst profound disagreement.
So why do we feel this pressure now? If history is full of fights, why is our era so obsessed with getting everyone to agree?
Well, the thinking from the Connected Ideas Project is that this expectation of consensus is a pretty modern thing. It's been amplified by social media and this kind of participatory rhetoric.
Where disagreement itself is seen as a moral failure.
Exactly. If you disagree with me, you're not just wrong, you're a bad person. And I see that all the time.
Oh, constantly. How can we proceed if people in the comments are still angry? It's like disagreement itself delegitimizes the whole process.
And that model just completely collapses when you hit the frontier of technology. There are, structural reasons why you can't get agreement there.
Okay, walk me through that.
Yep.
Why is tech different from, say, deciding where to build a new park?
Well, a few reasons. First, the evidence is uncertain. We don't really know how these new AI models are going to behave out in the wild.
Sure.
Second, the risks are asymmetric. The benefits might go to a tech company in California, but the social risks might fall on a community halfway across the world.
And you can't consensus your way out of that. I mean, I'm taking the risk and you're getting the reward. We're going to disagree.
Right. And third, the timelines are just so compressed, we don't have 50 years to debate this stuff anymore. We have months. So expecting everyone to agree on a path for a new gene editing tool...
It's just unrealistic.
It's more than that. The project calls it evasive.
Evasive.
Yeah. Reasonable people will disagree, often profoundly. Expecting them not to isn't aspirational. It's a way for leaders to avoid responsibility. You set a bar you know you can't clear, so you never have to make a hard choice.
Wow. So I'm waiting for consensus is just a fancy way of saying I'm too scared to make a call.
In many cases, yes. It's safe for the leader, but it's dangerous for society.
Okay, but here's the problem I have. If we just throw consensus out the window, what replaces it? The alternative sounds like some tech billionaire or a government bureaucrat just decides for everyone.
And that can't be the answer.
Right.
And it's not. This brings us to the core pivot in this whole framework. Shifting our focus from legitimacy as an outcome to legitimacy as a process.
Okay, break that down for me.
Think about a huge sports final, the World Cup. Half the world wants one team to win, half wants the other. The outcome is going to be incredibly controversial. Millions of people are going to be angry. But for the most part, people accept the result. They don't storm the field. Why?
Because the game was fair. The rules were clear beforehand. The ref was mostly unbiased. The process was legitimate.
Exactly. The legitimacy comes from the process, not the result. A decision can be hated, but people will accept it if the way it was made was fair and transparent. Now flip that. A unanimous decision made by 5 people in a secret room.
Yeah, that feels illegitimate. Even if I agree with the decision, I don't trust how they got there.
That distinction is the foundation of democracy. We've underapplied it to technology. We keep trying to get agreement on the outcome. Is AI good? Instead of building a solid process for how we manage it.
Which is this idea of being responsible by design.
Yes. Legitimacy isn't something you get once. It's something you have to earn continuously through the process.
I get the theory, but let's get practical. If we accept that we're going to fight about this stuff, what are the rules of engagement? The project outlines 4 specific conditions, or pillars, for what makes disagreement safe.
These are the guardrails. If you have these 4 things, you can govern without consensus. If you don't, you're just imposing your will.
Let's do the first one. Visibility.
This just means that dissent has to be documented. It can't be hidden. No sweeping the complaints under the rug.
So it's more than just not deleting the angry comments.
It's much deeper. Trust erodes when people feel like their concerns were just ignored. A legitimate process would publish a report saying, here's our decision, and by the way, here are the 3 main unresolved tensions and the very valid arguments against what we just decided.
That feels counterintuitive for a leader. Doesn't admitting you have unresolved tensions make you look weak?
I think it signals seriousness. It shows you're not delusional. It proves you looked the risk right in the eye and made a choice anyway. That builds way more trust than a fake smile and saying, everything's fine, we all agree.
Okay, pillar number 2. Representation. This feels like where it gets messy.
It's the trickiest one, for sure. The principle is that those affected must have a pathway to be heard.
Okay, but wait. Does that mean every single person gets a vote on, regulating a supercomputer?
Yeah.
Because that just sounds like we're back to the pizza problem.
No, and this is a really crucial nuance. Representation does not mean every perspective gets to determine the outcome. It means their perspective is considered in good faith.
So there's a difference between having a voice and having a veto.
A massive difference.
Yeah.
But that's a hard pill for people to swallow. We tend to think if you really listen to me, you do what I want.
And of course.
But that's impossible.
Yep.
We can't both get our way on privacy versus security. But if I know you genuinely engaged with my argument, if I see my point reflected in that visibility document, I'm much more likely to accept the decision, even if I hate it.
So it's about feeling respected, not necessarily getting your way.
Exactly.
What's number 3?
Accountability. This is the no anonymous authority rule. We have to know who is making the decisions.
Oh, I like this. No more the algorithm decided or the committee is determined.
Precisely. We need names. We need ownership. Because when things go wrong, and at the frontier they will go wrong, you need a mechanism for review. You can't hold a ghost accountable.
It's like when you get a letter saying your claim was denied and it's just signed the administration. It's infuriating.
And with high-stakes technology, that anonymity is truly dangerous. We need to know who signed off on the safety release so we know who to ask when it fails.
Which leads right into the 4th and I guess the most critical pillar, revisability.
This is the safety valve. The whole system depends on this.
What does it mean?
It just means decisions have to be reversible, or at the very least, the governance around them has to be able to change.
That makes so much sense. Part of why we fight so hard for consensus is because we act like we're carving the rules into stone tablets.
Exactly. Like whatever we decide today about AI is the law for the next 1,000 years. That anxiety just freezes us.
It makes the stakes feel infinite.
But if you build in revisability, you can say, look, based on Monday's evidence, this is our choice. But if the evidence changes on Tuesday, the governance changes on Tuesday. It lowers the cost of being wrong.
And it lets society tolerate a decision they hate because they know it's not permanent.
It keeps the system fluid. If you know you can appeal the verdict, you don't have to burn down the courthouse.
I want to go back to something we touched on. This idea that the call for consensus isn't just a trap, it's a weapon. The quote was, "Calls for consensus often sound neutral. They are not."
This is the real plot twist, I think. We see the person asking for consensus as the reasonable peacemaker. Let's just wait until everyone is comfortable.
But the real question is, who benefits from waiting?
The status quo.
Yeah.
The incumbents. The people who already have power and resources. If you need 100% agreement to do something new, you've given every single person veto power. And the default outcome of that is always inaction.
And in fast-moving fields, inaction is a choice.
It is not a neutral act. If you have a medical breakthrough that could save lives, but you delay it for 5 years trying to get everyone on board, that delay causes real, measurable harm.
So insisting on consensus is actually
A form of quiet domination, disguised as caution. You get to block progress without ever saying, I'm blocking progress. You just say, I'm just asking for unity.
that's devious.
Yeah.
And very effective.
Which is why we have to see it for what it is. Waiting to agree is a decision to maintain the current state of affairs.
Okay, so let's say we have our process. Visibility, representation, accountability, revisability. But how fast does this process have to be? Tech moves at the speed of light.
This brings us to a concept called governance latency.
Latency, like in a video game, the lag.
Exactly like that. It's the delay between you pressing the button and your character jumping. In governance, it's the delay between a harm occurring and the system correcting for it.
So if an AI starts showing bias, how long does it take us to notice and fix it?
Right. And there's a direct trade-off here. The faster you can fix mistakes, the lower your latency, the less you need everyone to agree beforehand.
Oh, that's interesting. So if I know we can fix a problem in 10 minutes, I'm willing to let you try something I'm not totally sure about.
Yes. But if it takes 10 years to fix a mistake, high latency, I'm going to fight you tooth and nail. I need to be absolutely sure we're right before we start.
So high responsiveness replaces the need for unanimity.
It's the key. If our institutions are agile, we can afford to experiment. Right now, they're sluggish, which is why everyone is screaming for consensus.
This also connects to that other idea, the zones of proportionality. Green, orange, red.
This is how you make disagreement manageable, because right now we argue about everything as if it's the end of the world.
Every Twitter debate is about the fundamental nature of good and evil.
Exactly. But we can break it down. Look, we might disagree on whether artificial general intelligence is a good thing for humanity. That is a huge abstract fight.
We are not solving that over lunch.
No. But we might be able to agree that this specific application, say a medical diagnostic tool, falls into the orange zone.
Meaning it needs oversight and a human in the loop, but it's not an existential threat.
Exactly. We stop arguing about the soul of the machine and start arguing about, does this tool meet safety standard X? It makes the problem tractable.
Tractable. Manageable. We can actually get our hands around it.
We can work with it. We don't have to solve the philosophy to solve the regulation.
So let's bring this all down to earth. If I'm listening, maybe I work in policy, maybe I'm a product manager, what does a responsible by design system actually look like? What's my checklist?
Well, according to the project, you're looking for 4 concrete things. First, clear articulation of your decision criteria. Tell me the formula you used.
Okay.
Second, documentation of dissent. Show me the arguments you considered and rejected. Third, defined authority. Who gets to act and who gets to revise. And fourth, transparent monitoring. We all need to see the data in real time.
And notice what's not on that list.
Everyone agrees.
Exactly. None of those require consensus.
But all of them require competence, and that's the real shift. We need to stop optimizing for making everyone happy and start optimizing for competent, transparent governance.
Competence over consensus. That's the bumper sticker.
It really is.
You know, it's funny, all this talk about governance and protocols, it can feel a little cold, a little bureaucratic,
Yeah.
but this actually feels very human. It's acknowledging that we're messy, argumentative people and that that's okay.
It is okay. And if we connect this back to the broader science of responsible innovation, it's really about humility. It's admitting we don't know the future, and the future won't be decided by who wins the argument on Twitter today.
But by which institutions can earn our trust?
Exactly. Earning trust while people are disagreeing. By being visible, accountable, and quick to correct course.
There's a line near the end of the material that really gave me chills. At the frontier of technology, humanity is the experiment.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? We're not the scientists in the lab coats. We're in the petri dish. And that means we have a duty to keep the experiment from going off the rails.
And the paradox is that demanding we all agree might be the very thing that makes it go off the rails.
Legitimacy without consensus isn't a compromise. It might be the only way to keep the lab from burning down.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with. It's a bit of a brain twister. We're all taught to think of unity as the ultimate good. The goal is for us all to be one. But in the face of rapid world-changing innovation, is it possible that the demand for unity is actually the biggest threat to our ability to adapt?
That is the question.
Is legitimacy without consensus the only way to save the future from our own indecision? Something to think about the next time you're in that group chat and nobody can decide on the pizza.
I'm just ordering pepperoni next time, unilaterally.
See? Leadership in action. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.